See, we've got about a number of people coming into the session, and it's just after 10 o'clock. So I guess we can start to get started, and people can join us as we move along here. So our first presentation is going to be from Shawna Dash. Shawna recently joined us as the development manager for Tetra and the Disability Foundation, and I'll let her do more introduction. So take it away, Shawna.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Yeah, okay, awesome. So thank you everybody for joining me this Saturday morning. I also just want to say happy birthday, Jordan. You're a trooper for spending your Saturday with us. As you know, this presentation is going to be all about fundraising in your community. So offering you hopefully some strategies that you can take back with you and help your region continue to grow. So I will share my screen. 1 second. Okay. There. Is this, can everybody see it okay? Yes? Thumbs up? Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see. Okay, so just a little outline for today. This presentation will take around 20 minutes, and then the last bit will be for questions, and hopefully I'll have some answers for you. This is really going to be a high-level overview of what fundraising that we've been doing, and also hopefully fundraising that we can do more of this year and also next year. Purpose is really to engage you, get you to ask some questions at the end, and hopefully pique your curiosity about ways that you can get involved, help connect people, organizations to Tetra and your region so that you can strengthen everything that we do. So we'll start with a little intro from myself. We'll go into the purpose of this presentation, how you're really already a fundraiser, even if you don't know that yet, what fundraising is, what we call the donor cycle, our focus for this year, and specifically 4 streams that we want to focus on. The fun stuff, ethics and legality, just a note for that, what success already looks like, and then as I mentioned, some time for questions at the end. All right, so this is me. So my name is Shawna, as Jordan mentioned. I'm the development manager for Tetra. I've been here for 6 months. I have my email at the bottom as well in case you do want to chat after this. I'm pretty much an open book. Before joining, I worked at the UBC at the law school there in fundraising, mostly major gifts. Before that, I worked at the Canadian Cancer Society, so lots of fundraising events. Before that, I worked at Fairmont Hotels and Resorts, so lots of customer service work. And then I also worked and studied at the University of Victoria, so I studied recreation and health education, and a big focus on that was community engagement and community development and really making a social change in the world. So that is me, and I think of myself as an inclusion advocate, a cause connector, which is really fundraising, as well as a community builder. All right, so the purpose of this presentation, I'd say there's 3 main ones. The first one is to hopefully give you a little high-level overview of what types of fundraising that we do and that you can do to keep fundraising at the front of your mind, hopefully beyond this presentation. And then also to really think about ways that you can help. Maybe you yourself want to be a personal fundraiser, or maybe you know somebody who wants to be a fundraiser. Just think about your network and your community and how you can pull everybody together to strengthen your chapter. So we'll get into that. And then just as a reminder, I have the Tetra mission at the bottom as well. So everything that fundraising does is to support you and your programs because we need each other. We need to be able to raise money so that we can continue to build and innovate for people. So this is a reminder. All right, so to set the tone, I wanted to let you know that you are already doing it. You're already a fundraiser. So every interaction that you have with a client or a family, you're demonstrating, you're really an ambassador of Tetra, and you're demonstrating how they can really help make a difference. So, you know, think of your clients when you are meeting with them, right? Like, do they have connections as well? Of course they do. Where do they work? Is there an opportunity to get them involved? So think about what doors that you can open, or even your friends and family, right? Like, does somebody that you know throw an event every single year? Is there a way that we can add on a support element, how they can choose Tetra to be the beneficiary of that? And although Tetra is a nationwide organization, you can still, the money that you raise, you can still keep it within your community and your chapter. And I know that that's really, really important. So just letting you know that you can still keep all that money within your region for your specific niche needs. Yeah, and first of all, yeah, just thank you for being here today. So I know you're already here because you do make a difference, and you do recognize that you need to fundraise to continue to do the work that you do. All right, so what is fundraising? It's kind of a scary word, to be honest. It's kind of like people hear about fundraising, like, ooh, like they kind of step away from it. But don't think of it in terms of it's hard work. It's really you just being yourself, allowing people to, you know, make the difference that they want to see. And to do that, it is to donate funds. And I think of it as the gentle art of teaching the joy of giving. So the reason why I have the Avengers up on screen is because it's really, you know, taking these groups or individuals and making them feel like superheroes and awesome about giving and actually making a difference in the world. So think about it in terms of how do you allow somebody to make the community more inclusive, right? How do you allow people to help you remove these barriers because they want to see this change as well? All right, so the donor cycle is, I would say it's an art and a science, okay? So fundraising in general is an art and a science. We have the donor cycle. It usually starts at the top in yellow for identification. So we look at what individuals or groups might want to get involved with us, might want to make a contribution, or it just even helps spread awareness. Then we move on, we call it moves management. We move on to the next stage. And this is, again, hypothetical. It doesn't always happen exactly like this. Then we move to a stage called qualifying. So we want to look in to them a bit deeper. So we might want to see, okay, what are their connections? What have they previously supported? You know, do they maybe know a family that's been helped by Tetra? Are they themselves somebody that's been helped by Tetra? So you're just trying to learn a bit more and actually see if this is somebody who can make a donation. Do they have the interest? Do they have the capacity to make a donation? From that, you then move to the next stage, which is called cultivation, and really that's warming up the relationship. So it can take a long time, or it can be really, really quick to bring somebody on board. And cultivating, again, I would say just be yourself, grow relationships in a way that's authentic to you. You know, that might be going out for coffee, or it might be, you know, inviting somebody to come to an event. It could be a variety of different things. It's really just, again, being yourself, demonstrating great customer service, you know, showing somebody the impact that they can make and also the impact that they have made already. The next stage is what we sometimes refer to as the ask or solicitation. Usually though, if you're, again, if you've been doing a great job of cultivating and, you know, growing this relationship with this individual or this company, it's never really a formal ask. It's usually that person or that group that asks, hey, like, we want to support you. What do you need? Or they'll say, hey, you know, we already done this for you and we want to donate the money here. So solicitation is really just receiving the donation. And then we move to what I would say is the most important stage, which is stewardship. And that is making people feel really, really great about their donation and continuing to make them feel valued and connected and engaged with the organization. It takes a lot of work to bring somebody on board and connect them with us. So it's really important that we think of donors as investors, and we want to keep them around with us forever. So for example, let's say somebody makes a $500 donation, which is awesome. That shouldn't be the last time that they hear from us again, right? We should continue to involve them in our events, maybe get them on our board. Do they want to volunteer? There's lots of different ways that people can continue to stay involved. And then hopefully the idea is, for major gift fundraising at least, is if you're doing a really great job of stewarding somebody, there's a better probability that they're going to want to make a larger gift. So for example, somebody might want to put us in their will, or they really love us so much so that they want to connect other individuals and other companies to continue to help our organization. Yeah, so that was a little overview of the donor cycle. You don't have to remember any of this, by the way. For our 2020 focus, this has really changed a lot because of COVID. This is totally different than when I first came on board, what I thought it was going to be like. So again, because of COVID, the first focus, we want to really maintain our levels of revenue. We're not going to say, hey, we want to raise, $2 million more than we did last year. It's not like that at all. It's really, how do we continue to stay nimble in our work and stay on trend for what we've raised in the past. With that, there's still lots of extra work that is happening. So we want to be diversifying our funding streams. So we focused very, very heavily on grant writing in the past. And so we're trying to come in and grow some other streams, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Ideally, we also want to be receiving more general funds. So somebody who's going to make a donation and allow us to put it to where the need is greatest. However, I understand that people do want to designate it to a certain area or program, so that's still awesome. Any money really does help and make a difference. We also want to be growing our donor database. So again, if you have connections or people that you're working with and that you're reaching out to, tell your regional coordinator so that we can log this in our Salesforce donor database. We want to keep track of everybody and different groups that we're reaching out to and seeing the donations that they've provided to us so that we can continue to steward them and make them feel good so that they stay with us forever. And then with that as well, we're also trying to streamline some fundraising systems and teams because we are making our fundraising more dynamic. So lots of work, lots of planning. So it's been very, very fun and still lots to do. All right, so for our funding streams, we have 4 main ones. The first 3, I would say, are more internal staff-led, and the last one is what I'm most excited for today. And the last one is about third-party fundraising, and that's what I think you can really get involved with if you want, and we'll dive into these in just a second. All right, so the first stream is grants. So grants are really written applications. It can be forms. Usually people are asking for, what are our financials? What money do we want? What do we need it for? What's the difference that we're going to be making? There's 2 streams, private and public. So in terms of how you need to think about this, I would say think about family foundations. So do you know anybody who is on a board for a foundation? Do you have a friend who works at a family foundation? Or even a company. So sometimes companies give out different grants. So think about, again, your network and what opportunities are there for your chapter based on the people that you do know. Usually with grants, again, it's very project specific. And for the public grants, these are our main support stream, I would say. So these ones are, again, done by staff at the head office, and we apply to the government for, it's usually around $250,000 a year. And these are lots of work, but they also come with big rewards. So that is our first stream where we're continuing to still focus. Again, we've relied, I would say, 90% of our fundraising efforts on grants. So we still want to continue to do that. The next stream that we have been trying to grow is what we call major gifts. So the major gift level can look different at every single organization. So for example, at, let's say, the university, especially with lawyers, like those major gifts are people that are donating $25,000, right? However, for Tetra, our donor database for major gifts is a bit smaller and we have a lower threshold. So our major gift level is $500 and above. And how this relates to you is think about what individuals usually this is for major gifts, what individuals that have wealth indicators, and then think about if there's a chance for them to have a connection with Tetra. Can you get them involved? Can you show them the impact that you're making? So usually we look for, where do people live? Do they have really expensive hobbies? Do they go vacation for half the year? And even what is their job title? So that's the kind of thing that we look at. So again, think about your own network. Do you know anybody who might be able to make a significant donation to your chapter or to Tetra? And then for corporate giving, again, think about you know, what organizations do you work at? Have you worked at? Where do your friends work? Where do your families work? What events do they do? Is there a chance for them to choose Tetra to benefit from something that they're already doing, right? So maybe you know somebody who owns for cause marketing, for example, maybe you know somebody who owns a cafe. Maybe for the month of December, they'll say, you know, we want to donate 10% of our proceeds to Tetra. Or they might say, you know, for every time let's say somebody owns a clothing store, every time we sell this t-shirt, we'll donate 50% back to Tetra and we'll give you the proceeds at the end of the year. So there's so many different ways that companies can get involved. It's all about, again, you sharing the story that you have with Tetra and sharing the work that you do so that other people are inspired to give back. And then also, like, where you work, is there an employee matching program, right? If you were to make a donation, does your work also match that, or do they donate half of that? So just look into this in your own ways. And then also, again, because you are volunteering, does your company have a Dollars for Doers program? So for example, let's say they'll donate $10 for every single hour that you volunteer with us. So there's so many cool ways that you can get companies involved with supporting your chapter. And if you do want to chat more about this, you can connect with your regional coordinator, or you can send me an email too. Yeah, so lots of really cool opportunities. The third stream that we've been focusing on, obviously because of COVID, threw a loop in everything that was face-to-face. We've been really trying to work on our online giving and our online social media presence. So here's just a couple examples. So for an example, for a fundraising campaign, again, we use Canada Helps to put up all of our fundraising pages, and we work with the staff to come up with the different ideas for campaigns. So trying to make everything consistent across the board with our social media. And I'm sure if you'll go to Taylor's presentation, you'll learn a bit more about that. Yeah, so we've been trying to really hone up on our online presence. And then we've also been trying to work on our online appeal. So in the past, we've done a lot of direct mail, so actually physically mailing out something to a household. However, it's super, super expensive. And with COVID, we've had to really hone in on where we're spending. So again, we're trying to make a big focus reaching out to people through digital streams. And with that, again, we get this information for emails from our database called Salesforce, and we don't know who to send it to if we don't have an email in there. So again, if you are reaching out to people, if you're connected with organizations or individuals, please let your regional coordinator know so that we can put that information in our database so they can continue to stay engaged and know about all the cool work that you've been doing. All right, and I'm just gonna take a sip of water because my throat is a bit dry. Okay, and so now I think this is the coolest part, which is all about third-party fundraising. And third-party fundraising is just that. It's not about Tetra doing the fundraising activity or event. It's about you. You do it separate from our organization, and you have complete power and control to do whatever you want to do. You get to use your creativity on this. So there's so many examples of third-party things that you can do to fundraise. So for example, maybe you also work at a company that does an event every single year. Again, is there a chance for this activity or event to choose Tetra as the beneficiary of this event? So it could be a golf tournament. It could be you just even doing a bake sale, like cupcakes every Friday for a month at your workplace or community center, and donating the funds from your bake sale goods online. And with anything that you do, I'd say it's really important to, it'll save a lot of admin time if you get an online fundraising page up. It's super simple to do. Everything that we do for third-party fundraising and online donations is done through Canada Helps. So I have this link at the bottom, so you can go there, you can create your own fundraiser. That can be a simple, your personal donation page and why you want to raise money for your chapter in Tetra. Or if you want, you can create a bigger event, which is what we call a P2P event or a peer-to-peer event. And think of it like a web of friends. So there's you're reaching out to all your friends to make a donation and or to become their fundraiser themselves. And then they're reaching out to their friends, asking them for donations or maybe asking them to be fundraisers themselves. So it's just another way to make a third-party event bigger. And there's an option, again, if you want to do that on Canada Helps. And I wanted to share a couple of really cool recent examples that happened. So the first one is the lady wearing the mask right here. So this is a kind of cool example. So what her mom and her neighbor did was they sewed all these different masks together for COVID, and then they sold that to their friends, their family, and their neighborhood, but also at their workplace. Their workplace heard about this and they said, we actually want to match this 50%, and we're going to create another fundraising campaign for this. And they've raised, I think, almost $5,000 so far. So that's a really cool idea. Another awesome one is Glenn Barnes, who I'm sure you all know. So Glenn and Sylvia, they created a fundraiser to support all the COVID relief efforts. So that was, creating a fundraising page on Canada Helps, but then also personal outreach. So phone calls and emails to your own network. And what Glenn did too is he reached out to some companies and he said, hey, I'm doing this thing, telling his story, difference that he's making, and he got some in-kind donations. So in-kind donation is like a good or service. So that would be like personal protective equipment or hand sanitizer, that type of thing. So it's not Tetra that's doing this, it's Glenn volunteering his own time to raise money for Tetra. So that's what a third party event is. And again, you can find so many cool ideas online. It's all about what you think will work within your community. And to even go a little bit farther with this, when you're thinking about your idea, think about your network and your friends, and even what industries you're close with and what would resonate with them. And then also think about who can you rely on to maybe help you with a different fundraising event. Again, it could just be a big sale. It could be like you create a fundraising page and then you share it online. You say, hey, for every $10 that you donate, I'll sing a song to you, or I'll, do some kind of dance. I don't know. It could be anything. You can have fun with it. If you, again, try and keep everything online on Canada Helps. If you don't want to, that's okay too. There is always a form that we need you to complete before going forward with anything. And that's really just to protect ourselves and our brand. So we'll give you a support logo. We'll be able to kind of help you throughout the way. If you're getting any offline donations, we can help you with that as well. But for the most part, try and keep it on Canada Helps. It just saves a lot of administration time. And there's already so many cool tools on there. And then of course you want to be promoting your fundraiser, phone call, social media, that type of thing. When you're having the event, you're hosting it, make sure you're taking pictures, you're documenting everything. You can use that to thank your supporters and follow up. And also you can share that with us too. We're happy to promote that on our social channels and to make your supporters feel really, really good. So again, head to Canada Helps. All right, and just a teeny note on ethics and legality. So how can I say this? If you're not sure, please go to the CRA website. It has absolutely everything for third-party fundraising events. For example, if you have a 50-50 raffle, you need a license for that. If you want to sell booze at your event, there's a license that you need for that. It's not Tetra that's applying for it, it's you that is applying for it. When you're hosting something or you're promoting something, just make sure that it's all true and honest. If you're going to say, all of the proceeds are going to Tetra, please follow through with that. Or if it's only 50%, that's okay too, but just make sure it's marketed in a way that is honest and ethical. When people go online to your fundraising page on Canada Helps, they're going to be automatically tax receipted. And a note on this too, receipts are only for the true donor. So what that means is, let's say I have a dinner party and I invite 5 friends over and I get them to give me, $50 cash. And then I go online and I make a donation for the sum of all that. I'm not able to claim that total amount because I didn't donate the $50. It was my friends that donated it. So maybe a step would be to ask them to go on to Canada Helps, make their online donation on their phone. And then they're going to be able to get the tax receipt because they're the true donor of that amount of money. As well as when you're chatting with people or different companies, just a note in mind, if a company is going to sponsor your event, they're going to be able to get benefits from that, right? They're going to be able to get the recognition, the promotion, so they're getting something from that. So it's not eligible for a tax receipt. So rule of thumb is if somebody's getting something in return, whether that is, a silent auction item, they're not going to be able to claim that then. Again, they can't be double dipping, unfortunately. So yeah, tax receipt is when you are giving and you're getting nothing in return. Okay, what success looks like. I feel like this is kind of obvious, but I feel like I just wanted to hone in on this a little bit more. So obviously, you know, the more money you raise, the better, which is awesome. However, I think awareness for Tetra is something that's huge. I think the more people that are aware of our organization, obviously the better. So for me, it's not necessarily all about raising money. It's about the difference and the awareness that you're making in your community and the amount of people that you're actually helping from the money that you are raising. So it's about, yeah, what we create with the money that we raise. And I put this in here. The ultimate goal should be that our cause is no longer needed. I know that we have a lot of work to do to get there. But really, we're successful when we are delivering on our mission and we are continuing to innovate and make devices that help people and make our world more accessible and inclusive. So yeah, just a little reminder. So for me, it's not all about the money. It's about how you feel and how you're making other people feel and the difference that you are making. Okay, and I feel like that's it. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? I'll try my best to answer. And if you don't feel comfortable, you can also just send me an email too.
Looks like Ruby has her hand raised.
Oh, hi, Ruby.
Oh no, hi, that was just meant to be a clap. Good job. That's really good. Sorry, I jumped in a little bit late and because I was checking out the university chapter stream too, but you covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, 20 minutes-ish.
No, it was fantastic. It was really good. And I'm just looking at the participant list. We've got, looks like a lot of chapter coordinators. We've got, let's see here, Sylvia, one of our fundraising powerhouses.
Woohoo.
Yeah, I'll leave it to you guys. Do you guys have any questions?
I should say, are we able to get a copy of that presentation? Like, it was excellent, but it was so fast. I was like, I was actually taking pictures of your presentation because I'm like, I can't write that fast. So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we can send that to you. And like I said, you can also send me an email or your regional coordinator an email too, for sure.
Yeah, I really like some of the ideas you had there, and you kind of made the fundraising not feel so daunting. So a little less daunting anyway.
Yeah, and it's like I said before, you're just being yourself and sharing the great work that you do. That's really all it is, and just allowing people to support us, right?
Yeah. So what would you recommend, given like the climate right now, with people not really gathering together? Yeah. Are there like good ways to go about a better fundraiser at this time that still is really engaging, but isn't as much like in people's faces? And then my second question is, in Lethbridge, we don't have a lot of RFAs yet, but I mean, we anticipate that one day we might. So how do you start marketing that with a fundraiser, trying to raise funds for projects that don't exist yet?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I'll try my best to answer this. For the first one, this was obviously something that the entire nonprofit world was talking about, because especially think about how many organizations rely on an event to fund their entire year of programs, right? So, what's cool is that everybody has really adapted into the digital space, even though it is a hard time for absolutely everybody. I think it's also the best time to connect with people and check in and see how they're doing. And also, there's never been, I would say, we need people more than ever right now. And I think this is the time that people really do want to step up and to help. And also, it's not really up to us to decide where people say yes and no to. So oftentimes people do want to step up, and they're thrilled just to hear about the great work that we've been doing. And also, we've grown over COVID, which I think is something to really celebrate and to share. We've expanded, and we continue to make a difference, and we continue to learn from everything. So even though maybe we're not having in-person bake sales, but there's some really, really cool online activities that you can do. So for example, let's say I want to create a fundraising page on Canada Helps, and I want it to be like a challenge-a-thon. So I might say to all my friends. I'll be texting them, say, hey, this is the link for my page. Can you check it out? You know, if you donate $20, I will do, you know, 20 sit-ups. I can hardly do a sit-up, by the way, but I'll try to do 20 sit-ups and I'll film it and I'll do a shout out to you on my Instagram. And hopefully when I post that as well, other people will say, oh, hey, like I want to see Shawna sweat a bit more. Maybe I'll donate $40. So I have to double that. Or I can be creative. I can say, you know, you get to do whatever challenge you want me to do. It could be something like embarrassing. Like I'm pretty shameless. It could be, I don't know, it could be anything. Like do the funky chicken dance. I don't know. So it's really up to you using your supporters in a way that you think will resonate with them. As well, I would say something that's really cool is, yeah, like a video. So instead of just sending an email or text, you know, go on FaceTime or do like a live stream on your own Facebook or Instagram. Anything that's live, I find has a better traction rate. And just be real. And so let's say somebody's making a donation to you. Thank them obviously for that, but also there's a good chance that they might want to donate again if they like what they saw. They like the funky chicken dance, right? It's like, oh, she can go so much farther with this. So again, you can thank people and ask them again for that. There's so many different cool things you can still do online. We've really proven that. Like for example, this here right now, TetraCon. It doesn't need to be an in-person event, right? And also look at how much, you know, we've been able to do and how we're able to connect. It's not the same, but it's really cool. And I think there's so many cool things that have happened throughout this. But really, yeah, it's up to you and what you think works with your network. Yeah, and then your second question was about how do you market and promote something that hasn't happened yet? Yeah, okay, well, this is a bit tricky too, because oftentimes we do need to have a financial commitment before we go forward and we promise anything. So I think it's important to, you know, talk to your regional coordinator about your ideas, but also not to promise anything if we don't have anything written out. And also there's a bigger picture that oftentimes you don't know about because we're planning it as an internal staff team. So I just say, make sure that, you know, your ideas are you know, you're going over it with your regional coordinator because they're going to have a better idea of our focus long term and what we're able to commit to. And for promoting and marketing, if you go to Taylor's session on social media, she'll chat with you all about the different accounts that you can have, what our best practices are, content that you can be sharing, and how you can utilize these different channels for your different audience members. But it's different for every audience and what your project is. Does that help a little bit? Does anybody else have any input?
Sorry, who was that question from?
And Annie?
Oh, Annie. Okay, great. Annie, was there anything specific that you're working on? We can all kind of brainstorm a little bit with you.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I do have a fundraising coordinator brought on recently, and he is really keen. So he's researched grants. We are thinking of doing some kind of COVID mask initiative, but with a twist, because I'm finding like people with disabilities, it's harder for them to wear a mask, and I have a disability myself. My volunteer his mom has a bunch of friends that are sewers, and so he's talking about doing some kind of fundraiser with that where we could, you know, make these masks and hand them out, but then do some kind of little package that would go with them to help us with our outreach, because that's where we're really struggling right now, is getting that outreach to people in our community, and then trying to find a mask that's modified a little bit. So I found one on Amazon for myself that has an elastic at the back of the head that connects the earpieces, so I'm able to just like wear it around my neck and pull it back up over my nose when I need to. But otherwise I'm like pricking my neck all sorts of ways trying to get it to stay on my ear, and it's, yeah, pretty hard. So but I kind of feel like if we're going to offer them masks, then maybe we need to make them more accessible and take it, because there's lots of people in the area that are offering masks to people. Like, so how do we make ourselves a little more unique?
That's a great way to launch into what makes Tetra unique, right? Mm-hmm. Is that sometimes it's hard to find solutions until you realize there's a barrier. But I think what you're proposing to do potentially is to get in front of that, or to articulate a challenge that maybe a lot of people have, but we don't hear a lot about it. So,
yeah, I don't see very many other armless people in Lethbridge.
but it doesn't mean that others don't have issues with,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
so I think, and again, I'm just brainstorming with you right now, and I invite anybody else who wants to brainstorm. Is if you've got, you know, a university chapter. So, for example, at UBC, one of the capstone projects that has been accepted is to look at creating more accessible PPEs, for example. So maybe chat with Nicole and her contacts at the university clubs. Nicole, I think you're on the call. Cody, I think, is in another session. But I wonder if there's something that can be done together that's an online campaign to be able to articulate, maybe get the local media involved to say, hey, a lot of people don't hear and understand that the masks that are out in the market aren't always suitable or useful or easy to use. So Tetra is going to work with university students to come up with something, help support this. This is what the students are willing to do. This is what Tetra is going to be able to do. And those details need to be worked out, right, Nicole?
Yes.
But once you have that, you've got a local story where here's a challenge, everyone. Help us find a solution. Might be one angle.
Yeah, it's a tricky slope because technically, I guess I don't have to wear one, but then there's the whole just, what are people going to say? And are they going to give me dirty looks for not wearing a mask? And I mean, it's interesting all the problems it creates for me personally, because I use my mouth a lot to like pick up my purse and stuff. And now having to wear a mask is like, it's a bit, it's kind of like me going around with my socks on all the time trying to open doorknobs.
And I wonder if not masks, what might another useful, helpful item be? And the reason I ask that is when the foundation did a survey, I think it was about April, and our question was to the community, what is it that you need? Access to food, access to health supplies, and recognition that people with disabilities are members of a vulnerable population were the three top concerns. So again, especially with the response to COVID in Ontario, and Nicole, Sylvia, Nicole, you guys did a great job of this, is respond to that immediate need first. And then put a call out and ask for support to meeting those needs. Nicole?
You know, it's, every community is so different, right? I'm sure that everybody in the call who's from a different region, the way that they see COVID has affected them and their community is going to be different. And so the way that we have to target that need is going to pivot a little bit, even from where I am here in Edmonton to NA down in Lethbridge. And so I think that, you know, NA's different ability, you know, it's different from what I see anyway of the participants in this session right now is different, right? And so I understand that is what makes Tetra is that we have to pivot and customize, and we're unique. And so how I think we do need to build on some brainstorming ideas. And I mean, that's why we're here with Shawna. We need to do some fundraising to be able to go down that road. So I think, you know, it's never just one direct path. You know, all of the streams are here for a reason. And so we have to utilize every tool that we have to move forward.
Yeah, thank you.
If I can just chime in there, I also think there's an opportunity here because I don't think there's anyone out on the market that would sell a custom mask for, let's say, $5. And then you can have your ladies go and make one with, you know, one.
You want me to grab what I have? I'll show you what I have. I'll be right back.
What I was thinking now too is I went down to a story with a local magazine, Burlington Post, and it was no means a fundraiser, but we still got funds back of it because they knew we're a nonprofit organization. So I'm wondering, I know the guy, Doug Ford, is it's three local papers they have, is do a follow-up story to what we've been doing in 3.5 months with COVID in terms of sponsorship, masks, you know, PPE, and at the very end, just ask for additional money or additional funds for purchasing those items.
Okay, so this is the mask. Well, that's the front of it. It's got a nose and chin. It actually covers the face quite well. And then behind the ear loops is this band. So I'm able to, I can show you quick. I'm able to grab onto that, sneak it over my head, and then hook on the ear loops without having to turn my head too much more.
If you did a video of that and you posted that, it would start flying.
Yeah.
You would
Well, how
start
does that
making
work
money.
with, like, I mean, this is a product that I bought, so are we getting into trouble if we, you know?
No, you can have one of your ladies make one, do
Oh,
the
yeah.
same video. You know, it's no problems there, because it's not just for one type of disability. There's going to be people there that need clear masks. There's going to be people there that might need wider masks, higher masks, all different types of things. And what I'm saying is there's nothing on the market now cheaply that will make a personalized mask just for you for a small amount of money. And so what I'm saying to you is you could just blow this right across the country.
Yes. Yeah, that would be cool. Because I did research. There was one place that did kind of customized masks, but it was also tied with like other groups of people, like the LGBT community, which is fine. But to me, for the person with a disability, I'm like, well, those are separate things. And you can have both or be, you know, like they do crossover, but they're not the same thing. Yeah, so yeah, that's a really good idea. Maybe showing videos of different abilities and marketing, seeing if we can make some masks that are a little different. And I thought, you know, and then we piggyback on giving these masks away by giving some information and an ask in a little little package or something attached to the mask.
See, you're on your way.
Just making it happen.
And if you need help, we're all here. We're all here, right across the country, not just, you know, one place or the other. Anybody here can help you.
Yeah. I think the hard thing for me is we haven't made a lot of contacts right in here, Lethbridge here. So I'm like, this is great, you can make this, but I don't know the people that need these things in Lethbridge, but I know that they're there.
Well, if you send me the video, I will post it even on the Ontario Facebook, and I'm telling you, it's gonna fly.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. If you're looking to see what these are called, they're on Amazon, they're called Safe Mate. And it comes in a package of 3, and they're like $25 for 3.
See? So why can't we make it?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, this might not work for another person with a disability, but it might be more, at least you're not worrying about it falling off your ears.
Yeah, but if they're willing to pay you to make it slightly different, then you get your ladies to make 5 or 10 a different way, and you'll make money still. So
See, that's true. Tetra is customizable, right? And so I know here in Edmonton, even in Winnipeg with Crystal, right, we've done ski buffs, different size of masks, and I've done infant masks that are literally probably about this big to the largest that I've ever seen this big. So that they're on its own, right? That's that customization of what the client needs. So again, this is filling another need in the mask world.
Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, that's really great feedback, everyone. Thank you. So I can do up a video and I'll send it to Nicole, and then we can figure out those things. So and I don't mind other chapters piggybacking on that, because I think, you know, if we're really trying to reach the right group of people, then we should be making
Shawna,
something
any
that's going to
other
work for them.
challenges, or does anybody have any burning questions to get a group brainstorm going?
There's one question from Violet. So it was on specific policies and procedures for community fundraising, or how to do fundraising and promoting in your chapter. And you'll be happy to know, even though it's not just completed just yet, but there is, I call it a third-party fundraising toolkit. So this does lay out, we're just in the process of getting all the content actually plugged into a pretty PDF in our graphic design system, and it'll lay out everything that you need to know. So the steps for actually how the process works. We also do have a form as well, which includes a liability. So just making sure that you know that this is your project, your responsibility. It's not on Tetra to be promoting and paying for anything. It's really you kind of honing in on your relationships to build and grow something in a way that you think will be successful. So yeah, we do have that form. It hasn't been uploaded on the website just yet, and we're still in the finalizing the processes for the third-party fundraising toolkit. So that will show you, you know, just a reminder of what hashtags we use, what social media channels you can use, even a letter of support template, right? From maybe it's from Nicole or Sylvia, just a one-pager saying this is what Tetra does, and we're so thankful for your support. So you can actually use that to reach out to, different companies, or even like a one-page media brief. Like we can do that as well, right? If you want to just like a one-pager, something you can pitch out to a local news organization to, help promote the great work that you're doing. So we are in the final stages of this kit, which will answer those questions for you.
And Shawna, did you mention the great work that you did? This is probably primarily for the regional coordinators to help them support the local chapters, but the fundraising manual that you've been working on, and it's still with me. I'm making my way through it.
Making my way downtown.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's another resource that's going to help in terms of guidelines and things like that for specifics about how to even shape fundraising in your community.
Yeah, and like I said, here's the thing too, which is so cool. Third-party fundraising, there's so many ideas that have been done before. All it really takes to get some cool ideas is to just Google or go on Facebook and look up something, and then take the best things from that and make it your own in a way that is specific to your community. So I feel like everything's already been done. Yeah.
Maybe Nicola, if you want to tell them about your school fundraising, I thought that was pretty cool. Do you want to chime in there? I'm not sure if she's up and running there.
Yeah, she's here.
There she is.
Sorry, my video's not really working today. Yeah, so basically I kind of connected, I'm from Guelph, with the Wellington Catholic District School Board, which is actually the school board I went through elementary school and high school. And so I kind of reached out to them and just to see if we could do fundraising opportunities, because I used to be on the social justice team. And so we'd do funds for Me to We would do it for even around Christmas time, like food drives and things like that. So I reached out to them and they basically let me run kind of a concession stand during their school sports teams. So I went to basketball games and badminton games and soccer games, and I just had a little concession stand with some snacks and treats. And yeah, I worked with the social justice team at specifically St. Ignatius, which was my elementary school. So I knew a lot of the teachers and things like that there. And we had a pretty good outcome. I think we raised around $2,000 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so I would like to do it again this year, but it might be a little different. So we'll see. But yeah.
And Nicola is a new chapter coordinator, and that was a great surprise. So there's lots of ideas out there, and if you reach out, we'll give them to you. Definitely.
There was another question from Kirsten. I'm having issues keeping my volunteers engaged and interested in doing projects. Do you have any ideas or advice? Yeah, okay, well, I don't know if you all know this, but we do have a new volunteer coordinator. It's come on board. She's only in her first couple weeks, but we do have somebody who's going to be really trying to focus on growing our volunteer network and engaging people. I would say, again, for volunteers, I think it depends on the type of individuals that there are. So for engagement, maybe that is, having people, maybe it's a thank you card, maybe it's a virtual thank you card, maybe it is a, little socially distanced coffee that you buy them to thank them. But again, I'd say it's really on you keeping them engaged. So whether that's like a FaceTime meeting and letting people know like where the end goal is at the end. And really, I would say have one-on-one conversations with people. Actually, what motivates them, right? Just don't assume that everybody like is the exact same. Have one-on-one conversations like, hey, what do you find hard? And what do you really, really enjoy? So it kind of adapt it to their strengths. So if they're assigned one lead, which is all social media, but they're like, I don't know how to post this. I don't know if I'm doing it right. Well, maybe that's an opportunity for them to connect with somebody in our communications department to learn more. Or maybe they don't need to focus on that at all. Maybe there's something else that they can be doing, bring in their own network. So I'd say, yeah, have one-on-one conversations and see actually what the root of, you know, maybe things that's stopping them are, and just not to assume. And also I'd say to, you know, share the great work that you do. So again, take pictures, take videos, send that to our communications team, and we'll get that out there and be able to promote that out and make people feel good and let people know they can share this on their own LinkedIn networks, because that's inspiring too. So yeah, I don't have the right answer. Sorry.
I disagree. I think that was a great answer. It's always about relationships, right?
Yeah, I think too, you just have to ask yourself, when's one of you felt most engaged and most you know, recognized or appreciated, and then talk about that and ask people if that's the same for them and what you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think asking and listening and seeking to understand is always a really good approach. And then one of the great things, and we found this yesterday in our internal day one of the conference for the regional coordinators and coordinators who are able to participate, there are commonalities. There's a lot of unique things happening in different regions, but there are some commonalities. And when we find a lot of commonalities, we create an opportunity to say, hey, Shawna, is there an opportunity that we can create this like a template or something for everybody? Just like the third party kit that you're doing and things like that. So, so it's a really, really good question.
Or like even at that, right? Let's say you go to some place for a coffee or a smoothie, and then one day you're just chatting like, hey, yeah, did you know I'm leading this and I have these volunteers. Is there, you know, anything that you can do? And sometimes it might be like 50% off coupons, like those little things. And then you can include that in a little thank you card. It's just different depending on who your supporters are.
Any other questions people have before we take a little pause for a few minutes before our next presentation at 11? Okay, I guess we will just take a few minutes to get a snack or use the washroom, and we'll be back at 11 o'clock for our